Natsuki Subaru is an ugly, disgusting, average guy who feels like he's fading into the background among his peers. He once believed he was going to be the next Tom Cruise, but as the years passed, he had to confront the harsh truth that he was just an ugly, disgusting, average and nothing more. His pride took a hit, leading to insecurities and inferiority complexes. He isolated himself from everyone, eventually leading him to having no friends at all. He skipped school for 3 months and spent most of his time inside his room. One evening, Subaru goes to a local convenience store to fetch some stuff. While walking out of the store, he is suddenly transported to another world. He glances around wide-eyed and realizes he's the star of his very own isekai adventure. Excitement bubbles up within him as he envisions himself as the destined hero having a big. The surroundings resemble a medieval town straight out of a fantasy novel, complete with creatures of all shapes and sizes. He sees a carriage moving dangerously close to a pedestrian. Subaru believes it's his grand moment to shine. He starts moving his arms wildly, hoping for some magic to pop out of his hands, but nothing really happened. Fortunately, a brave knight swoops in, rescuing the helpless pedestrian. Subaru concludes that his magic powers must still be in traffic. Next, he stumbles upon a fruit shop and after seeing its owner, he decides, enough of this shit, I need to inject some juice. However, there are no language barriers. He orders some apples by handing out some coins, hoping to bridge the cultural gap. After seeing those coins, the shopkeeper told him to else I'll shove these coins up into your. Unflinched, or perhaps just utterly clueless, Subaru embarks on another adventure. This time, unintentionally barging into the ladies' bathroom, but finds no juicy melons, instead hairy chest and peanuts. A chorus of screams and angry shouts follows as he is quickly thrown out. To add insult to injury, he stumbles into a bar with a sign that reads, "Humans not welcome." Poor guy gets kicked out faster than a bad punchline at a comedy show. Subaru is cruising in an alley deep in existential crisis, wondering if he really was born to be the Batman in this anime or just his sidekick. But instead of his dream girl materializing, 3 sketchy dudes surround him. They're Shorty, Chubbs, and Stickman. Just when Subaru is praying for a savior, a figure from the shadows pops out. His heart's doing the "this is it" dance, thinking it's his destined melon girl. But nope, it's just this lemon girl named Felt who's clearly in turbo mode. She zooms off like the Flash, leaving Subaru with the triple troubles. Subaru decides it's time to unleash his inner Batman. He throws a punch followed by a wild kick, catching the trio off guard. But when Stickman pulls out a pair of knives, Subaru decides to use his ultimate skill.
I'm sorry, it was all my fault, seriously, forgive me, please!
Unfortunately, these guys aren't handing out forgiveness coupons, they're here for a beatdown bonanza. Poor Subaru, at this point, he's the hero who is in a desperate need of a hero. A voice from the end of the alley suddenly booms and the trio's beating break time begins. All eyes turn to Emilia, a half-elf with silver hair with massive data packs. Emilia asks them to return his stolen under. The trio's not in the mood for consequences, so they spill the beans. They're like, "The real thief went that way," pointing towards Lemon Girl's escape route. Emilia rushes off in a hurry, leaving Subaru to continue enjoying the atmosphere in the alley. However, a sense of justice stirs within her and she decides to offer her assistance. She unleashes her magical powers, shooting small crystals at the group. The expressions of the trio quickly change from hostile to
If you can use magic, I'm gonna kill you!
Naturally, the trio protests about the whole unfair magic deal. But Emilia's not done impressing them. She summons her mystical sidekick, Puck, an ugly cat. Now, the trio's not just dealing with any magic, it's the super exclusive data pack magic. They panic and flee. Subaru attempts to stand up but quickly realizes his unconsciousness stat has hit 100. But before he turns into sleep mode, he makes a grand declaration to Emilia, "I'll help you find your shiny badge." A true data lover indeed. Subaru awakens from his unconscious state, finding his head resting gently in someone's lap. Ecstasy courses through his veins as he imagines he's resting in Emilia's lap with his head just an inch from her big data. But reality has other plans. He finds himself in the ugly cat's lap with the cat grown much uglier. Emilia, on the other hand, is on a quest for answers about her precious badge. She describes it in excruciating detail, practically quizzing Subaru. His response, a resounding no clue. Emilia drops a truth bomb, revealing she just wasted her healing mojo on him for nothing. Useless, she says, and walks off, leaving Subaru in the dust. The ugly cat tries to soften the blow, saying Emilia can be a bit harsh, but Subaru ain't having it. He's all, nah, she's nice for helping a stranger like me. Deep down, we all know it's those data packs of hers. Subaru, now determined to prove his worth, trails after Emilia like a lost puppy. He even promises he's seen Feld's face and tells her that his principle of life is to perform one good deed every day. She eventually agrees to let him tag along. So the duo search every nook and corner of the town, desperately seeking Feld, but they realize lemons are harder to find than melons. Subaru expresses that the town is quite large and finding a thief is rather challenging. Emilia does the eye-rolling after revealing that they are in the capital city of the Kingdom of Lugnica. Subaru, the ultra-honest blabbermouth, failed to contain his juicy secret. He blurts out that he hails from another world, specifically from a country called Japan. He then inquires about her name, to which she replies Sadala. Emilia chose to go with a fake name, but Subaru believes her anyway. While searching for Feld, they come across a young girl sobbing uncontrollably on the street. Emilia, being the sweetie she is, attempts to console the little girl. However, it seems like her eyes are water tanks. Then, in comes Subaru, Mr. Magician, who dazzles the kid with a coin trick. The kid's face lights up and the waterworks come to a screeching halt. Later, Subaru presents the enchanted coin as a gift. Now, Emilia and Subaru play detective to find the kid's mother, each holding one of the kid's hands. Subaru, feeling cheeky, playfully hints at them resembling a couple on a market stroll. Emilia immediately bursts his bubble, saying she would rather lend her data pack to Aisho's speed than to his ugly, disgusting face.
Emotional damage!
Finally, they reunite the kid with her mother and the mother showers them with gratitude. They wave goodbye to the kid and her mother and off they go in their lemons finding quest. Taking another break, Subaru can't help but inquire why Emilia keeps referring to herself as young when she looks like a old witch. Emilia reveals that she is half-elf, explaining that her age follows a different set of rules. Unbothered, Subaru continues to simp for her data pack, hoping that one day he'll get a chance to recharge them. Instead of their aimless wandering in the name of searching Feld, they decide to tackle this like a professional detectives. As their first step, they decide to make a crime scene visit. They rush to the very spot where Emilia lost her insignia. The crime scene conveniently turns out to be the very same Apple shop that Subaru stumbled upon during his initial journey to this world. The shopkeeper, upon seeing Subaru's ugly face again, isn't thrilled in the slightest. He had hoped Emilia might bring some business, but her revelation that she's also broke leaves him completely deflated. He's about to shove coins into both of their He hears a familiar voice calling out to Subaru. It turns out that the kid they rescued earlier is none other than the shopkeeper's daughter. When his wife shares the tale of how this duo saved their child, his mood takes a complete U-turn. He offers to provide the help they're seeking. Upon inspecting the rough sketch of Feld, he identifies her and informs the duo that they're likely to find her in the slums up ahead. They make their way to the slums where the sight of poverty and the harsh living conditions tugs at their hearts. Subaru can't help but notice that the stark divide between the rich and the poor is a universal issue. As evening sets in, they continue their search for Feld in the dimming light. Puck, needing to recharge his magical energy overnight, transforms into a stone, asking Subaru to look after Emilia in his absence. While exploring the slums, they encounter a stranger. They ask about Feld, and the stranger suggests they head to Old Man Rom's place, where they're likely to find her. Finally arriving at Old Man Rom's cottage, Subaru steps forward, volunteering to go inside and negotiate. He instructs Emilia to wait outside for his return. Subaru steps cautiously into the dimly lit cottage, wielding the flashlight on his cell phone. He notices several peculiar collections hanging on the walls, adding an eerie vibe to the place. Suddenly, a huge figure covered in tomato sauce falls into the beam of light and Subaru's heart leaps into his throat. He's paralyzed with shock and feels a searing pain shoot through his abdomen. His trembling hand investigates, coming away slick with tomato sauce. In the suffocating darkness, someone attacked him and he lay helpless on the ground. The world is spinning. Just as the shadows close in, he hears Emilio's gentle footsteps entering the room. With every bit of strength left, he tries to warn her to escape this trap, but time mercilessly slips through his grasp. Emilia, too, falls victim and her lifeless body falls to the ground next to him. On her final words, she left saying, "Anika!" Subaru reaches out for Emilia's hand, bracing for what might be his final moments. Just as his soul is about to leave his body, lying on the cold floor, he's transported back in time. He finds himself right in front of the very same Apple shop. The shopkeeper's about to shove the coins again, but Subaru's got some unfinished business to take care of. Images of Emilia's tomato-soaked body flash through his mind, and it's like a shot of adrenaline straight to the heart. He boats off, determined to change the future. He dashes down the alley where he first bumped into Emilia. There's no sign of her this time, but the trio squad again. But Subaru's not here to waste any time. He knows the drill now. Stickman's got knives, so he gets a taste of Subaru's fist first. Shorty gets a swift kick, and Chubbs gets his bells in a tight spot. Subaru's not the one getting beaten around this time. Subaru finally makes his way back to the cottage. He pounds on the door swings open, revealing an old Hulk. The giant asks why he's beating his door instead of beating his own meat. He tells him that he's there to negotiate and recover something that was stolen. Old Man Rom takes Subaru inside, offering him a seat at the bar. He pours himself a drink and asks Subaru about what he wants and how much he's willing to pay up for it. Subaru proudly announces he's short on cash but has a unique barter option. He whips out a packet of chips from his store bag. Yes, he still has that thing around. Old Man Rom's eyes light up at the sight of those chips, claiming them to be the ultimate drinking snack. He agrees to Subaru's unconventional deal and instructs him to wait for Feld to return with the stolen item. Subaru's got his game face on as he waits for the lemon girl to appear. When she finally arrives, she's taken aback to find Subaru in her secret lair. No time for pleasantries though. Subaru dives straight into business, declaring his intent to recover the stolen insignia. Feld, being the sour negotiator, wants to know what Subaru's got to offer. Subaru pulls out his trump card, his Nokia 2720 cell phone. He demonstrates the phone's magical abilities by taking a picture of Feld and Rom, who are absolutely fascinated by this technological wonder. Rom even compares it to a Meteor, a fancy magical device in their world. Feld is certainly impressed, but she's got her priorities. She reveals that there's already a buyer, and Subaru will have to wait until his mystery buyer arrives. Whoever offers the better deal will walk away with that precious insignia. The mysterious buyer finally enters the room. Elsa, the buyer, is an assassin with the biggest data pack. Subaru instantly falls for the data but controls his urges to recharge those. She enters the room gracefully, full of intrigue, prepared for the negotiation showdown. She sits politely across the table and places her offer on the table. 20 holy coins, doubling her initial bid of 10. It's a serious offer. In response, Subaru boldly drops his technological trump card, the Nokia 2720. Old Man Rom, the sage of all things valuable, estimates its worth at 20 holy coins or more. He's all in for Subaru's offer. Subaru can't contain himself and leaps to his feet, striking a victory pose. Elsa, looking rather unimpressed, stands up to depart. But before she exits, she can't resist a parting question. She inquires what Subaru intends to do with the insignia. Subaru, still riding on his victory, confidently replies that he'll return it to its rightful owner. With a sly smirk, Elsa drops the cold bombshell, "So you're with them." Elsa springs into action, launching a deadly data attack on Subaru. But Old Man Rom reacts swiftly and shoves Subaru out. Elsa whips out her fearsome dual blades while Rom unveils a massive club he'd been hiding under the table for precisely these kinds of moments. The room becomes a battleground, the clash of weapons echoing in the tense air. Feld and Subaru watch in shock, believing Rom's sheer size and strength would surely triumph. But Elsa proved them dead wrong. She may have the biggest data pack, but lightweight.
Lightweight, baby!
In one lightning-fast strike, she severs Rom's hand that held the club. Then, with chilling precision, she impales him with a jagged shard of glass, leaving a pool of tomato sauce around Rom's lifeless body. Feld, fueled by rage at losing her only friend, goes full throttle. charging at Elsa with all her might. But her fate mirrors Rom's as Elsa's blade strikes her mid-air, and she crashes to the ground drenched in her tomato sauce. Subaru, still lying on the ground, witnesses the horror unfold before his eyes. Elsa taunts him for being a coward lying there while she takes his friends' lives. Summoning every ounce of courage, he rises and makes a desperate charge. But Elsa effortlessly counters his every move, dismissing his amateurish attempts with disdain. Her blade swings, and Subaru believes he's evaded it only to feel searing pain as tomato sauce gushes from his belly. He collapses, crying in pain. Elsa's cruel laughter fills the room as she enjoys Subaru's suffering.
Oh shit, here we go again.
Once again, Subaru's world fades and he finds himself back at the Apple shop where his journey began. Granted, yet another chance at life. But this time before the shopkeeper inserts his coin. Subaru sees Emilia in the crowd and chases after her, shouting Sadala. Emilia turns around, her eyes glaring at him. Turns out Sadala is the name of the notorious witch of envy in the kingdom of Lugnica. She's not thrilled and warns Subaru to cut it out. Meanwhile, Felt sees this chaos as her golden opportunity and steals the insignia from Emilia. She points a finger at Subaru, suspecting him of pulling a sneaky distraction stunt. Without missing a beat, Felt dashes off and Emilia runs after her. Subaru too follows her into the alleyway again. In the same old alley, he runs into the trio yet again. Subaru, fed up with these guys, takes a different approach and decides to just stroll past them. But Stickman tries to threaten Subaru with a stick, but ends up performing an accidental magic trick. He punctures Subaru in the back. Subaru falls to the ground like a poorly rehearsed dramatic act. Yep, he's down again. Here we go again, back in the front of that nagging Apple shop. The shopkeeper, on his usual rant to shove 2 coins up into his Subaru, though, has learned a thing or two from his time-traveling adventure. First order of business, check for stab wounds. Nope, all clear. Bag? Yep, everything's in there too. Now he contemplates the strange situation he's in, this endless loop of rebirth, all for the sake of Emilia. Yep, he's out here playing superhero for a girl he hasn't even met in this timeline yet. But then he recalls how Emilia saved him from those goons at the first time around, so maybe being a hero isn't so bad after all. After some further contemplation, Subaru's decision is clear. He's diving back into the Emilia saving business. He marches up to the Apple shop and asks the shopkeeper if there's been any recent pickpocketing incidents around the place. The shopkeeper reveals the truth, mentioning a similar incident a while back when magic crystals were flying everywhere. Subaru sees those marks on the wall, the same kind of magic crystals Emilia uses. He figures out that Felt has already swiped Emilia's insignia by now, and it's time to get this rescue mission rolling again. Subaru's alleyway reunion with the troublesome trio is becoming a regular routine at this point. But this time, Subaru decides to switch it up and calls for backup, hoping some gallant guard might swoop in to save the day. The trio, of course, finds this hilarious until shockingly help actually arrives. A much uglier, red-haired stick user strolls onto the scene, the dragon skin sheath of his blade gleaming with authority. It's none other than Reinhardt, the legendary stick user from the Astria family. The trio realizes they've just met a superior opponent and wisely make a run for it. Subaru thanks him and asks Reinhardt for a favor. He begs him to convey a message to a silver-haired girl in white robes, warning her to stay away from the loot house in the slums. With this, he runs off to the slums. This time around, Subaru decides to pay Felt a visit before heading to Old Man Rom's loot house, hoping to wrap up negotiations before the Mega Data Pack showdown. Talk of the Data Pack, Subaru bumps into Elsa's big data. He's almost shaking with fear, but Elsa, sensing his terror, picks up on it. Much to Subaru's relief, she reassures him, promising not to harm him without a reason. He tries to save face, tossing in some compliments about her beautiful balls to smooth things over. Meanwhile, thinking, when I go, I want Elsa to stand over my casket and say his was just fine. Next up, Felt's humble abode, or more like a tent. Subaru can't help but feel sorry for the little girl. But before he can blink, Felt charges at him with a sword, mistaking him for an intruder. Subaru quickly grabs a table to fend off her attacks, all the while trying to persuade her that he's there for a peaceful negotiation regarding the stolen insignia. He sweetens the deal by offering his trusty Nokia 2720, which he cunningly dubs a Meteor. Feld isn't quite sold yet and suggests they visit Old Man Rom to assess the phone's worth. But Subaru's got a clock ticking in his head, so he hustles Feld over to the loot house as fast as his legs can carry him. Inside the loot house, Old Man Rom plays estimator and confirms that Subaru's Meteor is indeed worth a solid 20 holy coins or more. The scales are tipping in Subaru's favor and Feld could be in for a sweet deal here. However, Feld suspects that there's something fishy going on. She's side-eyeing Subaru's desperation and decides to wait for the other party to arrive for a fair negotiation. Just when the suspense is hitting peak levels, there's a knock at the door. Subaru's heart skips a beat, convinced that Elsa's arrived to turn the loot house into a butcher house. He tries to stop Feld from opening the door, but curiosity gets the better of her. To everyone's relief, it's not Mega Data but Big Data, Emilia, who gracefully walks into the room. Emilia, following Feld's trail, enters the loot house. She is convinced Subaru is Feld's partner in crime and has her magical crystal aimed and ready, demanding the return of her precious insignia. But wait, the party's just getting started. Elsa makes her grand entrance and goes straight for Emilia's back with a wicked knife. Panic's about to set in when suddenly Puck swoops in, forming a protective shield. With no time to waste, Elsa and Emilia go head-to-head in a spellbinding battle. Emilia conjures up magical ice crystals and hurls at them at Elsa. Meanwhile, Subaru decides to put his gift of useless chatter to good use and distracts Elsa with his chatter. Little does she know this is all part of the plan. Puck's preparing for a special attack, unleashing giant icicles at Elsa, attempting to trap her at a frosty prison. But Elsa's no pushover. She breaks free with an effortless display of strength, and when an array of ice crystals comes her way in rapid succession, she dodges them all. It's only a shoe that she loses in the face-off. In a movie, she slices a chunk of ice to fashion herself a makeshift shoe. I have to say my favorite Disney princess is Mega Data Elsa. As darkness settles outside, Puck is in need of his nightly rest. He informs Emilia that she's on her own now and disappears from the scene. Old Man Rom is unable to stand idly by any longer. He reveals his hidden ace, a hefty club stashed beneath the table. He's ready to lend a hand and join Emilia in her battle against Elsa. From a safe distance, Feld and Subaru watches the fierce showdown. They are hoping against hope that Emilia and Old Man Rom can somehow overpower the relentless assassin. But Elsa's skill is on another level. She is effortlessly dodging their combined attacks and keeping both of them on their toes. At one point, when Rom swings his club, Elsa doesn't just dodge it, she uses it as a makeshift pedestal, perching high in the air. With her lightning-quick moves, Elsa easily slices through Rom's slow defenses. He tumbles to the ground after a deadly attack. Feld's a mess of anger and sadness. Rom was her only friend in this world. In a surge of rage, Feld charges at Elsa with a sword, but she's easily outmatched. Elsa's poised to land a lethal blow with her knives when Subaru swoops in at the last possible moment, saving Feld from certain death. Subaru urges Feld to get out of there and make a run for it, emphasizing that, as the youngest, she deserves a chance to live. With tears to her eyes, Feld eventually gives in. She decides to flee in search of help beyond those four walls of the loot house. Emilia is somehow holding her ground, but it's clear she's hanging on the brink of defeat. Elsa's victory could be just a hair's breadth away. All of a sudden, from the rooftop descends ugly-faced Reinhard. Elsa instantly recognizes the dashing knight with fiery red hair as a legendary knight of the Astria family. Reinhard too is no stranger to the world of assassins, and he's well aware that Elsa hails from the infamous Bowl Hunters of the northern provinces. Elsa's eyes gleam with excitement. She's been itching for a worthy to calm her down. She practically calls Reinhard into action, urging him to pull out his legendary sword and drill her. But Reinhard doesn't fall for her data packs. Instead, informs her that his sword appears only for men. For now, he'll use the ordinary shaking device he finds on the ground. the very same one Feld had used. As he grips the hilt, an otherworldly light envelops the blade, channeling his extraordinary powers into the seemingly ordinary weapon. Meanwhile, Emilia channels her healing powers to bring Old Man Rom back from the brink of death. With the precision of a skilled strategist, she completes her healing, knowing that Reinhard can't use his spiritual powers until she releases hers. With no more obstacles in his way, Reinhard unleashes a seismic surge of energy through the shaking device. The blade ignites with the radiance of 1,000 suns, and with a swift, deadly stroke, he releases a torrent of power directly at Elsa. The sheer magnitude of his onslaught shatters walls and sends the roof soaring into the sky. The world trembles in the face of his enormous attack, and for a moment it appears as if Elsa couldn't handle the drilling and has vanished into thin air. It's a breathtaking display of power, and for now it seems the battle has reached its end. Emerging from the rubble, Elsa's about to make another deadly move on Emilia, but Subaru springs into action and using Old Man Rom's club as an improvised shield, he blocks Elsa's attack. Elsa opts for a strategic retreat but leaves behind a chilling promise of her return. Emilia, now safe and sound, expresses her gratitude to Subaru for saving her life. She chuckles at his innocent demeanor and decides to honor him by revealing her true name. Reinhard praises Subaru's quick reflexes, however they soon realizes that Rom's club, bravely wielded, couldn't endure Elsa's continuous attack. Upon closer look, it's clear that both Subaru and the club suffered significant damage. Subaru's abdomen is spilling tomato sauce profusely, and he collapses to the ground in agony. Emilia, wasting no time, activates her healing powers to mend his wounded body and save his life. With all the chaos settling down, Feld returns Emilia's insignia. Emilia, in an act of grace, forgives her for the theft. Upon seeing the insignia, Reinhard becomes alert and acts swiftly, moving to apprehend Feld for her involvement in the theft of the important item. Subaru awakens in a bedroom fit for royalty. As he steps out into the hallway, he can't help but feel a little disappointment. No Emilia by his side. His stroll through the hallway leads to an unexpected revelation. It's a looping hallway. Classic isekai twist. Just when he thinks he's finally made progress, he's back where he started. Subaru stumbles upon an enormous room filled with endless shelves of books stretching to infinity. There, he meets Beatrice, aka Betty. She may look like a lolly, but don't be fooled. She's a granny who's managed to avoid the aging process. Betty touches Subaru and drains his magic, leaving him weak. Subaru finds himself back in the same lavish bedroom, but this time he's got company. As he stirs from slumber, he hears harmonious voices of two enchanting, maid-dressed cuties, one with lustrous red hair and the other with captivating blue hair. Behold the dynamic duo of two of the best waifus in all of anime Ram and Ram. Subaru's eyes widen in sheer amazement as he takes in the sight of these twin wonders, wondering how would it feel to do a double recharge. Subaru can hardly believe his luck. As Subaru sways in the presence of Ram and Ram, the maids waste no time in labeling him as a pervert. Emilia steps in to hush the sisters and greets Subaru in her lovely pink dress, sending him spiraling further into the depths of bonkers. The duo, along with Puck, goes out to the mansion's garden. Subaru decides to start his exercise routine, busting out some basic stretches. Emilia is surprised to see his exercises. She watches with curiosity as Subaru attempts to teach her the stretches. Just when things are getting interesting, the maids burst onto the scene with a surprising announcement. Roswell-sama, the mansion's owner, has arrived and wishes to meet Subaru. Everyone gathers in the dining hall and the mansion's owner, Roswell L. Mathers, makes his grand entrance. Didn't expect Orochimaru here. Subaru, in a moment of questionable judgment, briefly considers Roswell to be a clown. But to everyone's relief, Roswell takes Subaru's remark lightly. Roswell graciously thanks Subaru for his heroics in saving Emilia and helping her recover the stolen insignia. Roswell further discusses that the kingdom of Lugnica is in dire tension, with the recent passing of the reigning monarch. Emilia, the unassuming girl sitting behind Subaru, is actually in the running for the vacant throne. Roswell then offers Subaru a wish, any wish he desires, as a token of gratitude. Subaru, to everyone's surprise, stands up and simply asks to be hired as a helper in the mansion. Roswell, though taken aback, swiftly grants Subaru's humble request and even enlists Ram and Ram to be his mentors. Ram takes Subaru's measurements, and because none of the dresses fit him, she decides to tailor them to fit his less than heroic physique. Ram gives Subaru a tour of the mansion, showcasing various rooms and areas. They accidentally stumbles into a room where Betty is with Puck. Betty, annoyed with Subaru's presence, magically ejects him from the room. When he tries to re-enter, she disappeared, pulling a classic magician's disappearing act. Ram explains that Betty is not just a librarian but also in charge of mansion security, boasting a nifty door-crossing magic that lets her control the mansion's layout. Subaru must have some kind of cheat code because he easily finds her in another room, defying Betty's usual elusive magic. Later, Ram delivers the altered clothes to Subaru. He attempts to show off his sewing skills by tackling a part of his trousers. Ram praises his efforts but dismisses it as a useless skill. As the days goes by, Subaru joins Ram and Ram in their daily chores, but his domestic abilities are laughably lacking. He manages to puncture himself while cooking, doing the laundry, and while trimming the garden plants. Bruises becomes his new fashion statement. Ram is sitting on Rosmo-sama's carrot while inquiring about Subaru's potential spy status. Double work on the same payment. Ram dismisses the idea, labeling Subaru as too dim-witted and unambitious for being a spy. In the garden, Subaru observes Emilia as she replenishes her mana under the moonlight. Captivated by her beauty, Subaru decides to make her his waifu. They haven't talked much before because he was busy with household chores. Emilia notices his hands covered with numerous wounds. She offers to heal them with her magic, but Subaru, however, declines, wanting to keep these wounds as a reminder of his hard work. Subaru, armed with the power of dad jokes and his incredibly smooth talk, invites Emilia on a wild adventure to the nearest village. She initially hesitates, fearing the villagers' judgment, but Subaru's persistent pleading convinces her to agree to the outing. Watch out, data lovers, recharge episode next in line. With a heart full of excitement, Subaru falls asleep, looking forward to his recharge episode with Emilia the next day. However, when he awakens in his room the following morning, he discovers his wounds have miraculously vanished and neither Ram nor Ram recognizes him. It's apparent that he has died and been reborn once more. Devastated by the realization that he has been reborn once again and that no one remembers the time he spent with them in the mansion, especially Emilia's promise from the previous night, Subaru leaves his room with a heavy heart. Tears well up in his eyes as he rushes to Betty's library. He enters expecting even Betty to have forgotten him, but to his surprise, she greets him as if nothing has changed. Subaru is immensely relieved that at least one person in the mansion still remembers him. With newfound hope and determination, he thanks Betty and leaves the library. She remains puzzled about his gratitude. Subaru decides to retrace his steps, meeting Emilia in the garden, petting Puck, and requesting to be hired as a helper when he encounters Roswell. However, when he approaches Ram for his measurements, she declines, stating that she'll do it another time. Ram proceeds to give him a tour of the mansion, but Subaru already knows his way around this time. In the evening, Subaru is enjoying a bath in the bathhouse while pondering over his mysterious rebirth as he doesn't recall experiencing a death before. His thoughts are abruptly interrupted when a bear Roswell-sama joins him in the bath. He asks Subaru to be his carrot holder, but when he denies, he refers Subaru as his property due to his status as a member of the household. While they soak in the bath together, Subaru and Roswell engage in a conversation about Ram and Ram. Roswell explains that the twin sisters are hardworking and that they need each other to exist, as their contrasting personalities complement each other perfectly. Subaru eventually decides to leave the bath and is shocked to find Ram waiting for him outside with towels in hand. She advises him to conceal his crayon, making Subaru realize that it has become a pencil. After lending Subaru a towel, Ram enters the bathhouse herself. Ram tells Subaru that she'll be coming to his room later in the night, and Subaru can't help but feel excited. He thinks of different wild ways to recharge her. In his room, Subaru sharpens his pencil, confused between Emilia Big Data and the double recharge offer from the cute sisters. When Ram finally enters the room, Subaru is almost startled. Ram quickly clarifies that she's there to teach him how to read and write, blowing up Subaru's fantasies. He's simultaneously disappointed and grateful for the change in circumstances. Ram begins the lesson by giving him a children's storybook and writing exercises. She stresses the importance of him learning quickly so that he can eventually read and understand the language well enough to run errands at the market from a written list. Subaru makes an effort to grasp the new language, but he can't help but grow frustrated when he notices Ram dozing off comfortably on his bed while he's diligently working hard. The next day, Ram arrives to take Subaru's measurements for the tailored clothes. She then brings him to the kitchen to assist her and Ram with their chores. However, Subaru's incompetence shows up once again and he ends up with a new set of wounds on his hand by the end of the day. Throughout the day, Ram can't help but notice Subaru's unruly hair. Ram points out that Subaru's hair is a mess and doesn't fit his role. Ram goes a step further by suggesting that Subaru should consider getting a haircut from Ram, as she has a talent for trimming the garden plants with precision. Subaru feels a bit violated by the comparison to a garden plant. Ram agrees with her sister that Subaru's hair does look out of place. She kindly offers to give him a haircut if he'd like one. The next day, Subaru accompanies Ram to the nearby village to fetch some household supplies. As they walk through the village, Subaru is warned by children who treat him like a plaything. Subaru waves at Ram with a smile as they prepare to leave. But just before departing, a mischievous puppy nips at him while he's attempting to pet it. On their journey back to the mansion, Subaru shares with Ram that he's always had a knack for getting along with children and animals. However, Ram responds by explaining that children and animals can naturally sense hierarchy and, in Subaru's case, they sense nothing from him. In an attempt to smooth things over, Subaru resorts to flattery. He calls the sisters demonically beautiful, and when Ram smiles gracefully, he showers her with compliments. Ram warns her that she'll report this behavior to Emilia and walks alongside Subaru back to the mansion. That night, instead of Ram, Emilia visits Subaru's room to assist with his studies. With Emilia so close, alone in his room, his heart races, making it impossible to concentrate on the book. Suddenly, Subaru jumps up and starts spouting random words. Emilia bursts into laughter at his silliness, which eases his nervousness. He musters the courage to ask her out on a date. However, Emilia is unfamiliar with the concept of a date, so Subaru explained it to her. She quickly suggests that he must have gone on a date with Ram that evening, which Subaru embarrassingly denies. Subaru then asks Emilia if she'd like to accompany him to the village the next day for a date. Although hesitant at first, like the last time, she eventually agrees. That night, Subaru resolves to not sleep and to uncover how he met his demise the previous time. However, exhaustion from the day's work gets the better of him and he eventually dozes off. In the dead of the night, he awakens with a violent start. The world seems to spin around him and he feels dizzy and disoriented. Struggling to rise, he's overwhelmed by nausea and ends up spilling his dinner. Desperate for help, he attempts to move through the mansion's dark hallways, but it appears deserted. Suddenly, the sound of chains scraping across the floor shatters the silence and something strikes him from the shadows, sending him reeling. Covered in tomato sauce, he can't figure out his attacker, who draws closer. In one swift, brutal motion, the attacker delivers a fatal blow, bursting his watermelon to pieces, spilling sauce everywhere. Well, that's a wrap, folks. Catch you on the flip side of the internet in my next video.